Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despised thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Saviour and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory. Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time.
Negotiating rates can be stressful.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai. Now, what I want to get into tonight, dealing with one of Satan's devices, going into how he used promiscuity, to destroy, this current society, and it had the biggest effect, on the nation of Israel. We're going to get into these things, Well, first and foremost, just want to go into how Esau Edom, his mindset is always to rebel against the righteous standard and get the world to follow after his rebellion. And the masses have followed this man into a great rebellion against Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai, against righteousness, and we're living, in the byproduct of a rebellion against Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai. All right. And one of the major things that this man attacked, the Esau Edom attack, okay, was removing the man, out of the house. Okay. And once he, accomplished that scheme, okay, through government assistance, all right, which created different, stipulations, where the man couldn't be there. All right. Once he accomplished that scheme, he was pretty much able, to have his way, okay, with the Israelite family, you know, that was left pretty much defenseless against this man's spiritual warfare. Okay, because remember, the man, all right, the Israelite man has the spiritual, access to Yahweh, all right, which gives us access to the Heavenly Father, which gives us access, all right, to a defense, okay, against the enchantments. Okay, but when he removed the man, all right, it pretty much left the nation open, okay, for to be destroyed, man, for the taking. Okay, so let's get a few precepts. All right, then I got a video I want to get into, and we'll go from there. All right, but let's go here. All right, because Esau Edom is dead set against rebelling against the righteous order, and that's why we have to count the blessing that the Lord opened up the right way. All right, so um yeah, let's start here in Isaiah. All right, it's two precepts in Isaiah. I believe it's 29. All right, 16. All right, this is Isaiah 29 and 16. It says, surely your turn of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he have no understanding? All right, and this man has turned society upside down and backwards as hell. Okay, and he was able to do it with craftiness, man, because he presented every philosophy that Esau Edom presents. He presents it as if he's doing it from a position of forwarding you or helping you, okay, or transcending, you know, like he has your best interest in mind. Like he was really just so concerned about the women of the tribe. Like he was just really so concerned about the so-called black woman, the so-called black family, you know, that this man just intervened. And ultimately, society as a whole, all right, this man has used promiscuity, but we know it affects Jake more than anything because we're under the curses. Okay, now let's go from there. All right, this man has turned society inside out, man. Okay, this is Isaiah 5:20 says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Okay, this man has put evil as good. Okay, harlots are glorified, promiscuity is glorified. Hot girl summers, these things that are evil according to the scriptures, this man glorifies, man. Degenerate culture, hookup culture, like, and we all play the part in these things. We all, a lot of us forward to these things as men, you know, as men, we help forward, the hookup culture, you know, and the woman, ran with it, okay, and just made it a lifestyle, you see. But we all had our part, in participating in this darkness, man. Okay, that Esau made normal, but it was evil and it was darkness, man. It said they put darkness for light and light for darkness. They put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Okay, this man, because now as we've been enlightened, we see the bitterness of rebelling, the rebellion against Yahweh by Shema Shai. But he put bitter for sweet, man. He made it seem as if this was the pleasant way to go, man. But but everybody, you got depression at an all-time high, suicide at an all-time high. women bitter as hell, okay, men miserable as hell, okay. But he gave us this way, he promoted, just this over sexualized culture where sex was just easy, it's just a thing to do. He pretty much made sex a hobby, you know, and it seemed sweet, like, damn, this is it. You see, you know. But now, as this thing has, we done went through generations of this, man. Now we're seeing the bitterness of it, man. Okay, everything has just been defiled and tainted and corrupted, man. Okay, and it's all under the rulership of Esau Edom, you know. And I want to go here. Well, I'm just setting the lesson up. Let's get these two, and that's why we gotta be continually thankful that we've been pulled out of darkness into the light, man. Okay, so let's go here. First Peter, chapter 2, verse 9. It said, "But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation." Okay, beginning with the men. All right, but the house of David is a chosen generation of Israelites. All right, which make up the elect, man. Men, women, and children. But beginning, with the men, beginning with the 144,000, no first fruit. All right, then the rest of the 1/3, men, women, and children who are allotted for salvation, man. It says, "A peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into his marvelous light," man. And we was all caught up in darkness, man. Okay, we was all caught up in, feasting in the flesh. Okay, we was all caught in these things, but now we've been brought into this marvelous light, man. Okay, and understanding the sure mercies of David. Okay, when you go, I believe that Isaiah, all right, 55, I want to say. Okay, yep. This is Isaiah 55:3. It says, "Incline your ear and come unto me." Okay, and this is the Lord he called out, and he called out through his prophets, man. You know, as he called out. Oh, man, god damn. Hold on, man. It's like, shit, man. Yeah, shit. So lucky. Hold on, pull the blue letter back up. Yeah, so lucky be laptop be tripping. So let's go back to Isaiah 55. Okay. Now when we go to Isaiah 55:3, it says, "Incline your ear and come unto me here, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you." Okay. And see, this is us coming into, the everlasting covenant. Okay. By what? By obedience. Okay, and faith. You see? And then when the Yahushua comes and end this grace period, man, we're going to partake in the everlasting covenant. It says, "Even the sure mercies of David." Now, David received mercy, and David did, some things worthy of death. Okay, just as we've done things worthy of death, man. All right, we done did some hideous things before we came into this ministry, man. This is why there's no room for pride of anyone. No one should have pride within this ministry, man. Okay, and we partook in these things in ignorance, man. We didn't, we didn't have a clue. Now we had, we knew certain things was wrong. All right, but we didn't have a real fear of Yahweh Shem Al Shai, and we really didn't understand their righteous way. Okay, so it's through what the sure mercies of David, okay, that we need, man. And as we learn more and more about righteousness, and then we see how things are, it's like, damn, we was off as hell, okay. But we have to remember, because oh, let's get this for the Yahweh Shai. Now, this is John 5 and 14. All right. And this was after he healed someone. And this is what Yahweh said. St. John 5 and 14 says, afterward, Yahweh finding him in the temple and said unto him, behold, thou art made whole, sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee. So as we know better, we do better. And as we understand better as men, we teach better. Okay, because there's one thing, that the devil did when he removed the man. He removed that guidance. He removed that structure. Okay, that instructor, the mother would nurture and be the first teachers, as far as the language. Okay, give a brief rundown of history, but then the children will be passed on to the men. Okay, to really get their spiritual instructions, man. As we read in Tobit, how he ran it down to Tobias. Okay. Now, matter of fact, we might get that whole account, because this is us. This represents us, man. You know, men and women. All right, of the hopeful elect. This is St. John 8 and 1. Yahweh Shah went unto the Mount of Olives, and early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery, and when they had set her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery in the very act. Okay? Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what sayest thou? They were trying to trip Yahweh Shai up. This they said tempted him that they might have to accuse him, but Yahushua stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground as though he heard them not, and he was writing their sins in the ground. Okay? So when they continue asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, he that is without sin among you, let him first cast, all right, let him first cast a stone at her. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Okay, and they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, being beginning at the eldest, even unto the least. And Yahweh Shah was left, and the woman standing in the midst. Okay, when Yahweh Shah had lifted up himself and saw none but the woman, he said unto her, Woman, where art thine accuser? Have no man condemned thee? She said, No man, Lord. And Yahweh Shah said unto her, Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. And see, we spoke about the blood of Yahweh Shah, yesterday. Okay? So as we repent, we're not supposed to go back into that same thing that we was into, or what how should I say, at least the worst thing happening to us, man. So as we awaken to the truth, man, the blood of Yahweh Shai, has wiped our past and is aiding us within this grace period, man. Okay? At least we fall back into that madness and the Lord put all that back on us, man. These certain lifestyles, you know, because we all, have sinned and fell short of the glory, So you hear things in these videos, all right. If you're repentant, okay, then hey, you gotta understand the blood of Yahweh is covering that, man. If you're repentant, we repenting and not doing these things no more, the blood is covering that, man, because we all, made some horrible decisions. before the truth, man. Okay, some more than others. Okay, so you hear, you're gonna hear things, and you're gonna hear things come out, in these different lifestyles. But one thing about it, and that's the point I wanted to make, is the sure mercies of David, because even though David was forgiven, he still had to deal, because he was worthy of death, but the Lord kept him alive. But he still had to deal with the consequences of his decisions. All right, as he was living, he had to flee. He had to flee the palace. Okay, his son popping his concubines on the roof. Okay, and eventually his son had to be killed. So he had to deal, with his decisions. The Lord, put hell on him because of those decisions he made, but he spared him. So there's certain circumstances and situations that we in. The Lord is having mercy on us, but we still, are entangled in some old decisions that we made, man. And it'd be women, much more, because they, have different kids and the baby daddies and all these different things that came with, what was said to be normal in America. Then you have brothers got some, you know, you know, bugged out, baby mamas, and all this madness or whatever it is. Okay, different efficiencies and things going on with the body, man, based to doing too much in the world, man. You gotta still deal with, you know, the decision, but the Lord is having mercy, man. So the Lord kind of let us feel, right, so we can be like, damn, Matter of fact, let's get that, and then go to the video. Okay, I'm gonna get one more. Yep, it's a perfect. Yep, it's a perfect preset. Hey, Shalom, brother. This is the brother Memphis I not GMS. Look up. Okay, this is Sirach 8 and 5. Reproach not a man that turning from sin, but remember that we are all worthy of punishment. you know, so it's not here to bash, for bash people for their past, but we're gonna go to the effects of it, because one thing about this captivity, you know, is teaching us. Because see, these camps will beat you over the head with the law, but they don't go into, all right, the parallels of this society and going back to the law and how the law prevents. Because see, the law prevents us from getting to where we at now. Okay, when you go into the law prevents all the madness and chaos and dysfunction that we exist in right now. Okay, we're going to go into that, man. This captivity was meant to teach us the why. Okay, we when we're changed, we're not going to have any questions of why this and why that. Like, nah, we're getting a thorough understanding of the law by dwelling in dysfunction, man. Okay, dwelling in defilement, like we're getting a thorough understanding, okay, of the law. All right, let's say this gonna be a go-to. you know, this is Psalms 119 and 71. It says, "Good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes." Okay, because we're living in the byproduct of rebellion, which has led to us being afflicted. All right, to now that, okay, we get it, we understand why. Okay, we understand why adultery can't exist, promiscuity can't exist, man. Okay, and since I've been saying that word, uh, let's get that different. If a brother can put that word up for me on promiscuous, let's get that word promiscuous. You know, since we been saying it, then it's the title. Okay. Mm-mm. I'm gonna go ahead and cue this video up. I want to cue this up real quick. So I want to get this video here. All right. So pretty much he's going to go into 4 reasons promiscuity is leading to society's downfall. Now, it got a lot of meat in here. Got a few bones. We'll pick out. But he just goes into some but yeah, he gonna go into some things. Like I said, we're gonna watch, whatever precepts you brothers, see fit. Yeah, you probably get that definition in Google, brother. I think that'll probably be the simplest one. Just get into Google. See if I can find it. All right, so I got it real quick in the Google. It says having or characterized, this word promiscuous. It says having or characterized by many transient sexual relationships. Okay? Transient. All right? Said, and then you go to the similar words. It means to be wild, liberated. Okay? Yep, my brother got it here. It says having or characterized by many transient sexual relationships. And you go into the similar words. All right, being liberated. All right, sexually indiscriminate, unchaste, of easy virtue, wanton. Okay, wanton. And this is nothing new. Scripture speak about women having wanton eyes in the scriptures, man. Okay, which is undisciplined. All right. So, yes, unrestrained. Okay. And this society pushed it. This society made that popular and cool. Okay. But let's go into the effects of it, man. All right.
Promiscuity is rising. The percentage of 18 to 29-year-old women that have had 10 partners or more is at an all-time high at 17%, over 2 times higher than it was in 1989. Furthermore, for the same group, the percentage that have had sex with a stranger, in other words, from meeting a guy at a bar, club, or dating app, has increased from 20% in 88 to a staggering 60% last year. Now, this video isn't going to be explaining why we've seen a sharp rise in this data, because I already have a video explaining this, for which there are 6 reasons. Instead, I'm going to be talking about the consequences of what will happen to society if these trends continue. And lastly, just so I'm not leaving you in suspense, I can tell you right away, things are not looking good for the future. If things carry on as they are, there will be very dark times ahead for the next generation of children.
Hey, stop training in person to make money as a personal trainer. It's trash, garbage.
Men, and most surprisingly, women as well. Anyway, let's get into it. Consequence number 1. The next generation of kids will face hardship. Study after study shows children born in single parent households perform worse in just about every metric than those born in joint parent households. They get worse grades at school, are less likely to do sports or extracurricular, are more likely to drop out, less likely to go college, have lower employment rates, have lower paying jobs, have worse health and more health problems, are more likely to commit crime and end up in jail, more likely to divorce after getting married, and so on. In fact, the economic situation is so bad that almost half of children born to single mothers are currently living below the poverty line, whereas only 13% of joint parent households are in the same position. Now, obviously, all of these problems are associated with kids being raised by single parents. But what does this
Now, of course, you have, some single, some single mothers, dealing with the tribe. Some of them, they do, the best they can, and some of them, this is not the case for every single, but being a single mother just amplifies and it multiplies your chances of, just having children, just go astray, man. You know, some single parents, some of them, some women have a certain drive to push, you know, the children through. Okay, but then there's a large percentage, okay, of a lot of failure that comes from single parents, man. Mainly the single mother. Okay, so just let it ride. Mm.
this have to do with promiscuity? Well, promiscuity, and in particular female promiscuity, leads to an increase in single parent kids for two reasons. One, it increases the number of women that get pregnant by accident. And then, if she decides to keep the baby with no man in place, she will be left to raise the child on her own. And two, formerly promiscuous women are way more likely to divorce their husbands. Sixfold, in fact, from having 10 or more previous partners, compared to women that have had no premarital partners. And in these couples that end up divorcing where kids had already been born, it means the mother will now be left on her own to raise them. Anyway, of these two scenarios, I believe the first is way worse, because the child potentially may never meet his or her father at any stage of upbringing. And when this happens, it has a major negative impact on the child's life, especially if it's a boy. The reason a boy misses out more is because he will have no father figure to look up to teach him how to be a masculine man. Whereas for a girl, she will always have her mother to teach her femininity. As for the second scenario, this is a little better, but still can be bad depending.
And now femininity is a lost art, amongst the majority of the women, especially of the tribes. Okay, what you see, he's going into what female promiscuity, leads to, say, an accidental, all right, pregnancy. But how can it be an accident? Okay, how can it be an accident when you do everything needed to bring forth a child? Okay, it might be unplanned, but ain't no accident. Okay, you slip and fall, that's an accident. You know, you see, you don't, come on, all right. But this is the safety nets, that society will throw up there, man. Like, nah, you know, it's a lot of steps before a child gets here, man. Okay, and, like I said, you can misstep, off the sidewalk, twist your ankle, but you can't do that and bring a child forth, man. Okay, There's a lot of consenting going on before that happens, man. Okay.
Depending on when the divorce happens. If the parents split up when the child is close to 18, it should be mostly fine because the father was there for the majority of the years. But if it happens when the child was under 5, it's almost as bad as never meeting the father in the first place, because the child has barely developed or had a chance to learn about the world. Anyway, what underpins all of this goes back to the original point of promiscuity. By a mother choosing either to have a one night stand unprotected or a wild past that makes her more likely to divorce, both increase the chance you'll end up as a single mother, which, as shown, impedes the quality of her child's upbringing. Anyway, that's the first point, and for the second consequence, the next group affected by female promiscuity is men. I will tell you though, this point is a little nuanced, because turns out if you are in the top 10% of men, you actually benefit from promiscuous women. However, if you are in the bottom 90%, you are almost certainly in a worse position.
If your business kept unemployed, Innovation Refunds can see if it may qualify for a payroll tax refund of up to $26.
To explain, starting with the top 10%. They benefit because it's in men's evolutionary strategy to attract as many women as possible. In other words, spread their seed far and wide. And because they are in the top 10%, they will have no shortage of options, with women wanting them on a casual basis. And whether or not they actually end up getting these women pregnant, they will still at the least live a life of fulfillment, or at the very least one of recurring dopamine hits. What these men get to enjoy is abundance, variety, and novelty because of their high standing position in mate value. Meanwhile, for the bottom 90% of men, they are almost certainly worse off when women embrace promiscuity. And the reason for this, put simply, is because dating is a zero-sum game. So when the top 10% of men capitalize on their abundance of women, it leaves hardly anything for the bottom 90%. In contrast, when monogamy is the presiding structure in dating, it leads to an equal distribution of men and women. So, in theory, it will mean every man has a chance no matter where he falls on the hierarchy. However, now promiscuity is rising, we are seeing less and less of this playing out. In fact, I've showed in these two videos more in depth the consequences of when dating gets more competitive. Feel free to check them out afterwards. Anyway, that explains how the bottom 90% of men have it worse. Now moving to the next point, which...
And I wanna make this point, from what he said. Now, there's more women than men, so he was off, dealing with, the zero sum game, if it's 50-50. Okay. But what he was right on is that you have the majority of the women, that deal with those top earning men. Now, to go even further, this is what you have. You have the majority of the working man has the worst. Like just the regular 9 to 5 Jake has the absolute worst. Like this is a terrible society, to be, just an average man. This is a terrible society, extremely underappreciated. All right. And then, it is what it is because, I done been, you know, as far as, dealing with being on the scene, because you pretty much have the majority of women dealing with the top earning men and street niggas. The top earning men and street niggas are pretty much dealing with the majority of the women, and the working man is just pretty much left with the leftovers. After pretty much, the woman has been promiscuous with the high earners, having flings with the street niggas, you know, the excitement, you know, Mr. Wrong, as we spoke about earlier, okay? And Mr. Wrong and high earners, they pretty much don't pulverize, you know, the woman. Then the working man deal with the leftover, you know, the kids are there, multiple baby daddies, you know, it's like, and then they come to the working man like, okay, I'm ready for structure now. It's like, God damn, you know? And this is like a society where the average working man just has it the worst. You see? And this is why you see, you know, a lot of men that are unmarried and no children, man, because it's a bad deal. Like for the working man, it's a bad deal. Okay? The woman, she go spends the best of her years, okay? The best years, you know, and gives that to the high earners and street niggas, and then, you know, come bring the beat down, you know, the pulverized box to the working man. You know, after decades of it's a terrible deal, you know, and a lot and for a working man. You see, but it is what it is, you know, just putting that out there, like, you know, analyzing these things. And I just, you know, be riding and thinking and listening to these documentaries, and you know, and you put it together, man. It's like, damn, working man got it terrible. You see, you know, but at the end of the day, this is why this is not our risk, man. Okay, this is not our risk, and you look at, you know, the majority of women, like, it get to a point where you, like I say, you increase some wisdom. If a brother can push that, you know, you increase some wisdom, you increase in sorrow, man. So it's like, you know, this ain't it. It ain't sorrow like, damn, I want to, you know, I want a woman. Like, nah, it's just this shit's so bad to, like, you know, it get disgusting. You know, you look at the you look at the woman, you know, you look at the modern woman, you get disgusted, like, God damn. You know, like, is it, and you get turned off by this shit, man. Like, God damn. You know? This is brother Gershon 72, Ecclesiastes 1 and 17, and it says, and I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this is also vexation of spirit. Okay? Verse 18, for in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increases in knowledge increases in sorrow, man. All right? You see that? So as we, you know, increasing wisdom on how it should be, you know, as we understand virtue, and then we see the effects, okay, of these devices of Satan and how it affects us now, because we got to deal with it. We in these situations, so we just, you got to deal. So it's like, damn. You see, and then you go into the word grief. You know, one of the definitions, like a depression, man. It's like, damn. You see, well, this is the society that we exist in. This is why we have no stakes here, man. This society is gone. It's gone. Like the majority of women are like this. Okay, the majority of women have been ran through. You know, the majority. If a brother can get that, what's that? Amos 7 and 17. You see, that's why I say America really ain't got nothing for us, man. Like, brothers, we gotta go back east, man. You know, outside of the few women that the Lord is gonna have mercy on in America, man, this place has nothing for us, brothers. Okay, this place is done. You see. I'm gonna let this play. Oh, yeah. Yep, this the brother my nah, you know, and the water for that video this morning too, brother. You know, you got me on one, brother. Is a brother, I said GMS look up Amos 7:17. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, thy wife shall be a harlot in the city. All right, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword. Isn't this not this not the culture that we exist in? Street culture, harlot culture, thought culture. Okay, and even just this casual dating. Okay, because it ain't just confined to the streets. Women, and from well-to-do situation, this casual dating, jumping in relationship. You know, you done had 10 boyfriends, man, or whatever, was, what the hell is a boyfriend? Would in this society, you had 10 boyfriends, man, and we thought that was normal. And see, us as men, we played a part in forwarding this culture as well, because we had the mindset, shit, what a freak said. We mocked the girl that was a virgin, that was conservative. We mocked her, okay? We stiff arm, or we stiff, all right, we stiff arm her ass out the way, okay? Looking for the freaks, cause that's what we was conditioned. Rap culture. We thought that was the way. You see, the tip drill, the BT after dark. The tip drill video, man. You just over sexualized, man. Just an over, and then imagine what these children are seeing today, man, with these cell phones, man. 7, 5-year-olds. Imagine what they're seeing. They too far gone. This generation we in is just defiled, and the Lord is, He's scraping the remnant out this generation, and washing us with His word. You see, but the generation after, they already gone. Esau put so much in their subconscious. You see, he don't put so much, in their subconscious, and they seeing so much now that it's even he Trans Ams and the drag queens, like it's a madhouse with them. He's trying to normalize, pedo, like he's finna take it to a whole nother realm. Like promiscuity is old with this devil. He finna bring in the real freaky deaky now, man. Okay? And this is why this place is gonna get the judgment of ancient Sodom, man. Okay? And it says, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword, and thy land shall be divided by a line, which is our homeland of Israel, which is divided by, okay, the small hats and these mother heathens, mainly Palestinians, okay, Ishmael, you see? And it says, and thou shalt die in the polluted land, and Israel shall surely go into captivity forth of his land. And that's and this prophecy is reigning supreme today, man. Okay? Our wives shall be harlot. The women that was meant to be our wives, man, they played the harlot. You see? Just as we play the harlot as men in the spirit, okay? The Lord put the spirit on the women to play the harlot, man. That shit sucks. Like, god damn. It shit hurt. But it's just what we gotta go through, man. That's part of the sorrow, man. But it's refining us, man, and it's making us appreciate the law. Okay? Now let's let this play. And then we got some precepts we're gonna get into. I'm gonna let this play on out.
Sounds dramatic on first listen, but at the same time is not fantasy. And that is population collapse. For anyone who doesn't know, the birth rates in basically every Western country have been below 2 for the best part of the last 50 years. USA 1.7, UK 1.6, Canada 1.5, Italy 1.2, Germany 1.5, Australia 1.6. Now, if a population wants to sustain itself, the birth rate needs to be at least 2. This is because it takes two people, one man and one woman, to produce a child. And this is just to break even. If a population wants to grow, it needs to be more like 2.5 or 3, which coincidentally, this is the number of children women say they want. Which begs the question, why is there this large disparity between how many children women say they want and how many actually end up being born? Well, I believe promiscuity is partly to do with it. Allow me to demonstrate. 60 years ago, the average age of marriage for women was 20 on the nose. And after getting married, a woman would pretty much start popping out babies immediately. The birth rate was 3.5 at this time, so she would keep getting pregnant until she has 3, 4, or even 5 children. And because of health advancements, most of these children would grow to adulthood, so they can repeat the process and the population grows. However, nowadays things are far, far different. Today, essentially no women get married at 20. In fact, the average age is almost touching 30. Why? Well, a lot of modern women today now see their 20s as a time of exploration, studying, and discovery. Instead of raising families, they are hyper focused on their education to set themselves up financially in the future. And because of this, a lot refrain from taking dating seriously in this time, and all wouldn't even entertain the thought of getting pregnant. However, once they reach their late 20s, early 30s, they start to realize time is running out and they'll need to ramp up the level of urgency if they want to fulfill their goal of having 2 to 3 kids. Now, ideally, she should already have a long-term partner in place by this point so she can begin a family straight away. However, only half of the bell curve of women do this. The other half of women get married past the age of 28. This happens because I believe a lot of them had been snooping around dating casually in the last decade. So, for these women, if they
Yeah, them hot girl summers, man. You know, and going back to the point, they have fun with the high earners. They get flew out, you know, gifts and brought, you know, condos and, you know, vacations, okay? Or they snoop around, you know, with Keontae, all right? Hot girl summers, man. And then when those summers are, you know, because see, as they getting 28, 29, it's a new younger batch coming in, 21, 20, okay? So the high earners and you know, the street niggas, they on that new young batch. So now they're on the back burner. Then that's when that's when they settle for the working man. You know, as they say, that's when they have to settle for the working man, you know, after they done gave their 10 years, 15 years, okay, to chaos, man, to being promiscuous, man. Okay? It's a lot of shit.
still want children, they'll likely need to first spend the next 2 to 3 years searching for an adequate guy, taking her past 30, then spend another 2 to 3 years building a connection, finding if he's suitable long term. Now she's in her mid 30s, and given the time she has left, realistically, she will only be able to birth 1, at most 2 children. And then from this point, though she will likely have the financial potential to raise more kids, she can't because she's biologically locked out from doing so. To give some exact figures, a woman's chance of conceiving plummets after 35 and is almost zero come 40. Anyway, the point I'm trying to get here, after this ordeal, the Foundations of a huge problem have now been laid because when we zoom out and look at broader society, if every woman is doing this, or at least enough of them, it starts to lead to population collapse. The first way to notice this happening is an inverted population pyramid, like South Korea already has, and where the consequences are starting to be felt. What consequences? Well, in the short term, it places a huge amount of pressure on all 20 to 60-year-olds who are working, as they now need to prop up the rest of society financially. They not only have to support their own lifestyles, but a bunch of extra people's lifestyles who are either over the age of 65 or below the age of 20, mainly through tax contributions. And this increased workload in turn leads to less babies being born, which only exacerbates the population decline. This continues until we reach in the long term the steady collapse of our populations. Anyway, that's the third reason. This leads me to my fourth and final point of how female promiscuity is bad for society, and that is it negatively affects women. That's right, women's self-inflicted actions impact them in a bad way. How ironic. Anyway, what are the main factors? Well, women who have promiscuous pasts are less happy in their marriages. So if they don't end up divorcing their husbands, they'll be feeling trapped and bored in their marriage. And part of the reason I believe this happens comes from the comparison mindset that develops after engaging in hookup culture. Or, in other words, it leads to the grass is always greener thinking. And why do I believe this? Well, how many times have you heard a woman talk comparing all the guys she's slept with? As a matter of fact, there's this one trend on TikTok where women do exactly this. They rate the quality of their previous partners out of 10 and finish by ranking them. And to be honest, I actually feel quite sorry for these women because when they eventually settle down and find a guy, they will have had so much prior experience to compare to that the probability their husband will be the best they've ever had will be extremely small. The data shows less than half of women report their best intimacy being with their husbands. How does that sound for a 40-year marriage? And in comparison, by default, 100% of women that have only ever had one partner will automatically have their husband as their best intimacy of their life. Another study I saw shows all the direct negative concerns men and women feel after having a casual hookup. Here we see large disparities in numerous factors. 40% of women fear regret, while only 25% of men do. 40% of women find it dissatisfying as opposed to 30% of men. Over half of women are concerned about their own personal safety, when only a third of men are. In fact, in this data, women have greater concerns in 12 out of the 14 factors, which shows again that casual intimacy for men isn't a big deal. But for women it is, and they've got a lot more to evaluate for whether it will be worthwhile or not. Anyway, I hope this shows how for when it comes
So there you have it. And you see how the Bible, reigns supreme. When you get through that documentary, and we're gonna show you how the Bible reigns supreme, man. Because as he said, you have as a woman that's gonna have multiple partners. All right, by default, she's gonna compare. You can't erase that. All right, and you got the women on TikTok, they're ranking their top men that they've been with. Okay, well, by default, a woman is gonna do that in her head. She's gonna remember, hey, we grown. She's gonna remember them orgasms and that feeling, and she's gonna remember all these things, man. And it affect them more than it would men. Now, as men, you know, dealing with different, women, you have a recollection of particular things, okay, but it isn't effective because as a man, as long as you know is a grip, Jake be cool. You see, but if you deal with so many and all these different variations, then a woman can a woman can lose their grip. Just to put it out there, like I say, we adults, like, you like, god damn. You see, so they can have a major effect, man. That's why a lot of times, a woman, will be, emotionally connected to a man, okay, and the marriage don't work out because, it's because like Elder Zahaba always say, a lot of women have been so overstimulated sexually that one man can't, uh, 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 satisfy that sexual crave that she has developed by being promiscuous, man. You know, and there's exceptions to the rule. The Lord, dealing with the elect. Okay, the Lord make it. He put a play together where it work out. you know, but just speaking in general, it's hard for a promiscuous woman to deal with one man, especially after all that sexual experience, man. You see, so we're gonna go into the scriptures and show how the scriptures prevented these things, man. How the scriptures reign supreme, because he said by default, the woman that only dealt with one man, you know, she doesn't have those comparison, problems, and you know, she doesn't have an issue with her husband being the best, that she's dealt with. Okay, and those things are issues. We like, you know, y'all know, man. We ain't, everybody ain't monks and nuns. Okay, I know everybody monks and nuns, but hey, shit, we know what it is, man. you know. Uh, so let's go here. All right. Now the scriptures, and then people look at the scriptures and be like, that's harsh, but it prevented the scriptures prevent chaos, defilement, and dysfunction, man. Okay. Now this was for the priests. Leviticus 21:9 says, "And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaning her father, she shall be burnt with fire." Okay? The law prevented things from getting out of hand. Okay? And from wickedness becoming the norm. And this was for, the daughters of priests. Okay, they had a more stricter order, all right, because it was just a law that because the priest, the priest can only deal with virgins. All right, the priest couldn't deal with a woman that had been divorced. If she'd been with one man, the priest couldn't deal with her. The Levites, they didn't deal with nothing but virgins. Okay, now the other tribes, you have a woman get put away, and she would remarry. But then even with that, after that second one, it was pretty much over with. Okay, and that's where you get the harlots from. The community of harlots, man. Okay, so after a lot of times after two men, you'll be done. You see, so you go here. Let's get this and see. Not only because that's the more harsher law, but then you had this protocol set up, and we're gonna get the other one too. Now these things should make more sense. Now the law should make more sense when you go to Exodus 22. Okay, Exodus 22:16 says, "And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, okay, and you entice, you through what they call game, okay, you persuade the one where they say you talked out of out of draws, okay, and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife." We didn't do the hookup culture, man. Okay, yeah, certain men that dealt with harlots, but there was that community of women that was okay, pretty much outcast, man, because their virtue was gone. You see, But as far as within the inner workings of the nation, it wasn't hookup culture, man. You talk her out of her drawers, that's your wife. And what was this law promoting? Pro family. Now the father still had to say so. Verse 17: if her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgin. So the father could still refuse, okay, and the man would still have to pay that dowry. All right, but what did it do? This put something on Israelite man's mind, like you wasn't just like, because we was guilty of, like I say, as men, we came up, we were just knocking women down. You know, we thought that was the manly thing to do. That's how we get stripes, by knocking down many. You know, this society teach men to, just get stripes by just knocking women down with no purpose, man. But the law, you can't do that. Okay. You see, there was laws set up to where, okay, if you because see, now you done compromise someone's daughter. So now you're gonna have to marry or pay, okay, or both. You see, you gonna have to marry. Would you gonna pay the dowry? So you have to marry and pay, or you at least gonna have to pay. You see, and that dowry is pretty hefty, man. Now let's go here to the infamous Deuteronomy 22 and 13. Yeah, this now to show you how a woman's virtue was so important. Like now, Jake just called women hoes, and like, see, that meant something back then. See, now the culture is just saturated with hoes, and they just come and talk calling women hoes and bitches and whores. But you couldn't do that in the ancient world. If she wasn't no whore, you couldn't just call her that, man, because that would drop her value, man, and that would ruin a man's household, man, for his daughter. If she was called that and she wasn't one, and that wasn't true. Okay, so you got this law here, Deuteronomy 22 and 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasional speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid, okay, was not a virgin. Then shall the father of the damsel and the mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity into the elders of the city, into the gate. All right, and the token of virginity will be that cloth that they will lay on the wedding. All right, the night of the wedding, when they will consummate the marriage. Okay, and the tokens of virginity, which was the Hamlet, being broken in the blood, would be all right, that cloth, and that cloth will be given to the father, okay, as a token of her virginity, in case something, like pretty much like a receipt, I'm promising you my daughter is a virgin, so the Hamlet is broken during the consummation, okay, that's a receipt of, that's my product saying it is what I say it is. That's my possession, which is now your possession, and it is what I said it is, man. It's fresh off the lot. 0 miles. Okay? And it says, and the damsel father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her. And lo, he had given occasional speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders in the city. And the elders of the city shall take that man and chastise him, and they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he had brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. Okay? So they prevented Jake from just popping virgins and then trying to say she wasn't a virgin, so he can go get him another virgin. Like, nah, the laws prevented all that from happening, man. Okay? You weren't just gonna be saying, okay, she went a virgin, on like her, on to the next. Like this culture, this is what we was doing. We was just on to the next. As men, on to the next. And what the women, hey, on to the next. Okay, now you what Rihanna say? Says she a savage. She told Jay, you just another nigga on the hit list, man. Now the women move like men. Okay? It says verse 20, all right, and this is on the flip side. If she wasn't a virgin, said, but if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stone that she die, because she had wrought folly in Israel to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put evil away from among you. Okay? You see? So this prevented. So she did play the harlot in her father's house, and she snuck around. Okay, and she was married to someone, and she was found not to be a virgin. She will be put to death, man. And what did they do? They prevented all these games and playing. Okay, that we got today. Baby daddies and all, they this cut all that out. Okay. You see, and we see why this law was set up. Okay, and this is the law that's gonna run the earth, man, because ain't gonna be none of this madness in the kingdom, man. These laws are gonna establish righteousness in the earth, man. Okay, those 1,000 years, these heathens are gonna have to be beat into submission, because a lot of these heathens are turned out following America, man. Okay, so let's go from there, and let's go to let's get this. It's another law dealing with war. And now you should see, what they call the law on grape. Okay, why that was put in place? That was pro family. Okay, you take some. Okay, if she's betrothed and she hollered out, okay, the man be put to death. You take some and she was betrothed and she didn't holler out, both of you be put to death. Okay, she's not betrothed and you take her. Okay, now that's your wife. Okay, so either justice was meted out accordingly, judgment was meted out accordingly, or that's a new family in Israel. Okay. What the only hot girl summer is when the priest's daughter would be burnt alive, man, for playing the whore. That was the ancient hot girl summer. You see? Let's go here. Let's see. All right, yep, this is Deuteronomy 21:10. It says, when thou goest forth to war against thy enemies, and the Lord thy power have delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and has a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife. Okay, it was all about family, and the heathen would be a lesser wife, a wife that wouldn't have rights to inheritance. Okay, she'll be a wife in servitude. Okay, or what they call a concubine, which is a lesser wife, man. Okay, it said, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails. Okay, and this was her putting off, she would do that, because this would be her putting off her guys, that now she's finna come under the order of an Israelite man. And she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail her father and mother for a full month. And after that, thou shalt go into her and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. She will be an extension, in addition to your house as a man. Okay. Now, verse 14: if it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, Then thou shalt let her go whither she will, but thou shalt not sell her for money. So this cuts, being a pimp. Okay, like nah, you will just let her. You will let her loose, man. Okay, you went into it because those heathens, some of those women would be promiscuous, man. Okay, amongst heathen culture, that was a norm. Now they did have a higher rate of virgins. Like now, it's just this March Madness in America, man. Okay, they would, there was a value on virgins even amongst the heathen. Okay, but you would have some women that, all right, have been out there, man. It was high mileage, man, and you go into it, you be like, oh no, oh no, okay, but you'll just let it go, okay, and says, but thou shalt not sell her at all for money, thou shalt not merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her, okay, which means you dealt with it. Now let's you know, and that's how uh Solomon didn't deal with no damn Queen Sheba, man. All right, she was extremely promiscuous, man. Okay, and that was looked down upon highly in the ancient world, man. You know, so let's go from there. Um, got a couple more. You know, uh, I get one. I get yeah. Let me get this. Now this is in the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, and Apocrypha. Oh no, it's 26. Or just the book of Sirach 26 and 10. It says, if thy daughter, okay, be shameless, keep her in straitly. All right. And there's another thing too. A lot of women, because as you go, especially you go into the crack era, okay, was just devastated, family structure as well. There was a lot of women that were just unattended to, man. A lot of women, a lot of women of the tribes been fondled with, you know. There's a lot of wickedness that was going on. A lot of women been unsupervised, man. As young women, they were just extremely unsupervised, man. There's a lot of situations, where women just extremely unsupervised, man. Okay, but then you have those, and then Esau he created the culture, liberated them. You see, so you said, if thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. Okay, she abused herself, man. A woman going out there just putting miles, and the one thing about it, even on the deeper level, that semen, going into a woman, like that's the man's DNA is in that semen, and women have multiple men's DNA within them, man. You see, like that the whole thing of of sex, man. That thing was orchestrated to be between a man, all right, and a woman, and that woman only dealing with that man, okay? Because a man will put his, if a man had one one wife, two wife, three wife, whatever. He would put his spirit on each of his women. Okay, the act of sex, that's childbirth is the main purpose. Okay, but also the becoming one flesh, man. You see, the Most High set it up in the order, and when that order has been broken, now you go to what? Abusing yourself. You see, and the women had no idea that they were abusing themselves to this extent. You know, you have some women that they just out here. Cause see, when you just like drinking, when you're drinking, it feels great when you're in the moment. You know, you got the best jokes going. You singing, background to the music. You know, dancing. Yeah, it feels great while you're drinking, but then when you slow down and you know sleep and you wake up and then now your head banging. That's you know. It's like a promiscuous hangover a lot of women having, man. You see, it says, watch over an impudent eye and marvel not if she trespass against thee. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he have found a fountain and drinking of every water near her. And this Bible goes into a woman's nature, man. And see, once a woman starts, once that virginity is broken, man, she gonna keep going. Okay? That's it. That's the beginning of their career, their sexual career. You see? And it says by every head. Now some ain't just wide open as others. Okay? You have those that, and it's not every single case. There's always exceptions and, you know, different things that happen. But for the most part, the general nature of a woman, it says by every head will she sit down and upon her quiver against every arrow, or open her quiver against every arrow, man. You know what the arrow is, the quiver. Okay. So you go here and it goes into the grace of a wife. All right, the light of her husband, or her discretion will fatten his bones, and discretion, okay, is going to discernment. Okay, not being simple. Okay. When you go to 14, it says, a silent loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. All right, because as we're getting back in order as men, the Lord has women, falling back into their order, and now we're seeing, because like I say, as we was chasing after the freaks, now we're really seeing the purpose of women. Like now we seeing like now a woman in her order is a great addition to a man's house, and it's like a gift. She's functioning under your order, under your command, in the spirit of a servant. That's an amazing thing, and it's way beyond sex, man. Okay, sex is pleasurable and it's a part of it and it's a incentive, and it keeps that bond. That's why Apostle Paul talk about to do benevolence. You would do that to keep that bond, strong, and to keep, the temptation of adultery, okay, from within the house. You see, but a woman is much more than that. When she's in order, a woman, can help forward a man's house, okay, as an administrator, okay. She can bring forth his seed, which is his legacy. Like a woman, has a great purpose in her order, man. You see, and this is what we're learning now. Now it says a shamefaced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent mind cannot be valued, and continent goes into sexual restraint. That's the thing of value. We value we value the freaks. We value tip drill. Okay, we didn't value a woman that was able to have sexual restraint. You know, a lot of us coming up. I'm gonna speak for myself. You know, you know, guys. I know you know, we fully turned out. We was Greeks. All right, we was Greeks, man. You know, especially them teenage years, man. Greeked out. Okay, and we through, and now we're seeing the order that the Lord intended, man. And that's why at the end of the day, the Lord, He's coming back with those new bodies, man, because we gotta shed these. You know, we gotta shed these, man. Okay, you know, we gotta leave these these bodies got to remain here, you know, and catch that fire, man. You know, we gotta be changed. You see, but that was the point. You know, I just wanted to bring that out. You know, I'm studying um you know, different things and going into it. But yeah, man, because we like I said, we learning what wickedness the devil has done. You know, we learning like the devil has done a lot of wickedness, man. And we seeing, okay, the results of rebellion. So we, you know, we compare these things, man, you know, to the scripture, and we see it's off, man. You know, matter of fact, before I end it, you know, we've been going to Ecclesiastes pretty tough. Before I end it, I gotta get this. This is Ecclesiastes, you know, because as we compare the two, you know, darkness and light, okay, we see that this way is far better. Ecclesiastes 2 and 12. And it says, I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness. All right. And we have, you know, the duality that we've lived in madness the majority of our life, you know, and we came into this wisdom. It says, and folly for, all right. It says, for what can the man do that cometh after the king? Okay. So who would be better to do it than the king? Who would have more free time and resources to, you know, delve into folly and wisdom than the king? All right. And this is Solomon, King Solomon. Even that which have been already done. Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as for a light excelleth darkness. Wisdom excelleth folly, as for a light excelleth darkness, man. And we were brought out of the darkness into this marvelous light, man. Okay, now we're understanding life. Okay, now we're understanding order. And even within that, because there's pleasures, okay, there's pleasures. The kingdom is going to be full of pleasures. It's going to be in righteousness, man. Okay, it's going to be in cleanliness, man. Nothing defiled. Okay, this is 16. This is 16. Okay, the kingdom gonna be lit. It's gonna be in righteousness though. Okay, this is Psalm 16:11. It said, "Thou will show me the path to life." And see, now we're on the path to life, man. Okay, the conduct. Okay, it says, "In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore." And see, we're gonna be in fullness of joy because now you get the pleasure in wickedness, but then the aftermath, you know, unwanted children, okay, baby mamas, baby daddies that you at war with, okay, for those few moments of pleasure, man. But see, in the kingdom now, it's gonna be a fullness of joy with the pleasure, man. Okay, the women are gonna be joyful mothers, the men are gonna be joyful fathers. Okay, not this chaos and dysfunction that exists today, man. Okay? It says, in thy presence, fullness of joy, in thy right hand, there are pleasures forevermore, man. Okay? And we're going to witness, okay, sex on a whole nother level, a whole nother glory that's going to come with. You can't tell you how, okay, but it's going to exist on a whole nother level, man, a whole nother glory, okay? So, Lord will, you brothers and you few sisters will edify once again, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Kakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great example towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful. Shalom.